Hey everybody, it's Tony George along with Sean Salisbury, and we're talking SEC and Big 12 basketball. Check out both our videos today, and be sure and check out the free $60 we got for you in the link in the description below, and catch some of my heat in college basketball. I don't brag much, but folks, when you hit 66% against the spread over a 69-game sample size, you're beating the books up a little bit. So be sure and
Hell, you're the GOAT, man. You're the friggin' GOAT, my man. You're the GOAT.
Well, one thing about this business, Sean, is no different than when you were an NFL quarterback. You're only as good as your last game. So
it's a humbling business. Yes, they only remember the last game too. Is that right, Tony? In both businesses. So
that's
you have
right,
it, brother.
Yeah, I'm on a 9-1 run, and if I lose tonight, all they're going to know is I'm 0-1. So we're staying steady here tonight. But get over to Docs, take advantage of that free $60, and get yourself hooked up because March is here and madness is here. And we're talking Kentucky at Ole Miss here tonight. And there's some really good games in the SEC on Tuesday, but this one here intrigues me a little bit. You know, Sean, the John Calipari experiment has been ongoing here since he got to Kentucky, and that is to recruit every single player that is best at their position and put them on the team, let them play a year, and then send them off to the NBA. And while people raise their eyebrows and scratch their heads, it has been relatively successful for him. You know how well Fox is playing for the Kings right now. He kicked kid out of Kentucky. But at the end of the day, this year it hasn't worked out very well. And before we get to this game, we do want to give everybody a shout out who tuned in this weekend. You know, Sean, our last SEC pick, we reluctantly took Tennessee on Sunday against Auburn. And we thought if they don't cover that spread or win that game, Rick Barnes ought to be fired. Well, Rick Barnes showed his true colors again on Sunday in the SEC. Just about a 1-minute rant here. But I've been saying and you're familiar with this guy from his days in Texas too, down there covering all these sports in Texas on the radio like you do. This guy's an absolute ass clown. I'm telling you, Tennessee is going to have an early exit, possibly in the SEC tournament, but definitely in the NCAA tournament the way this guy coaches.
We've seen this movie before. You know, we've seen it, and like by the 8th time, it's like, why did I pay this money to go to this movie? Matter of fact, we even said if it's that they were going to be in trouble if we didn't see domination from the get-go, and they just looked well. And Bruce Pearl had his team ready to play, right? As rightfully so, they came out with some energy. Tony, when you started to bring it up, you know, I was thinking, gosh, Rick can't do this time, right? Not this time. And it's when things happen once, you say, okay, it happens to everybody. It happens twice, you say, let me keep a look at it. It happens 3 times or more, it's a trend, right? This is a trend with his basketball teams. It just is, and we should have known better. And we both, and you said it, you brought it up, and you had a great rant going into it. You said, but there's no way, right? And well, yeah, there was a way, and I jumped on with you and said, I'm 100% correct. If this happens again, shame on us, right? It was shame on us for buying into it. And I'll be damned if they didn't. I'm sitting there, and then at the end they started to creep close and couldn't get a couple shots, and Auburn closed it out. And I'm thinking, do I really have a chance to win this thing and stay in? I mean, at least cover, you know? And the way it came down, but. Well, what did it go into, Tony, at game time? What was the spread for Auburn and 10? What was this? What did it end up at game time? Okay, there you go. And with about 10 minutes to go, I said, are they going to make a run? And nope, Rick Barnes did exactly what you said he'd do. And I've seen this movie before, and we ought to learn because when it comes to big games or games that matter, he finds ways to disappear.
Yeah, and he finds ways to disappear in games he should win. He finds the guy he can recruit like a son of a bitch. I'll give him that. He can recruit players. I'll give him that. He must be a hell of a salesman. But, boy, he can't coach them when he gets them. And that is not the case with John Calipari. But this year it seems to be that way. You know, I took a look at this game. Now, Ole Miss, you know, is laying 3 points here. The total is 131.5. This is senior night, much like the a mini games, you kind of look at that. People have extra motivation. I would think, Sean, that Ole Miss is going to have some motivation after losing to Vandy. To
Yep.
Vandy. Oh my God! I mean, losing to Vandy, that's like Michigan losing to Eastern Illinois or something. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And of course, Kentucky lost one to a good Florida team, which you can make an excuse for that because Florida's a good basketball team and Kentucky's struggling. But Kentucky's really struggling to score the basketball here. And they're going up against Ole Miss here on the road on senior night. Ole Miss is number 24 in the country in defensive efficiency. And Ole Miss is a team that beat Tennessee in here. Surprise, surprise, Sean. I think that's the first time they beat Tennessee. Yeah, what a shock. But the big shocker to me was they also beat a damn good Missouri team, not once, but twice this season. Ole Miss has a tendency to jump up in a big game and give you a game. They got a very good basketball coach that does a lot with the talent that he has. I don't think anybody's going to think that Ole Miss's talent can stack up with Arkansas and these other guys, but he has a way of coaching them up. And for whatever reason, they play very well at home. Sean, they've only allowed 60 points per game at home this year. I think this is a tough one for Kentucky here. They just don't have it this year. Their leading scorer, Brandon Boston, Kentucky's leading scorer. You would usually say anywhere from 20 to 25 points a game in each given season for the studs they recruit. Their leading scorer has 12 points per game this year. I think they're in trouble here.
Yeah, and, Cal, one thing I think with Cal, he's one of the best, an underrated defensive coach when it matters. He really is. He's an underrated defensive basketball coach. Everybody talks about the athletes and guys getting up and down the floor, but Cal really is a good defensive coach. I remember it was either maybe it was Frank Martin and I were talking about this a couple of years ago that Cal doesn't get the credit he deserves for defense. But and you know this, Tony, you're going to live by the one and done freshman that the Mike Krzyzewskis and everybody said no, we don't do that. Then everybody starts doing it, right? And Cal set a trend, right? Well, here we are. And every now and then you'll run into a class or some young guys that just aren't quite mature and ready yet, right? So hey, listen, as much success as Cal's had doing this, every now and again it's going to happen. And they're going to play hard, and they need this last week. Does Kentucky, depending on what goes on for them in the SEC tournament? The only way they're getting into the tournament is by winning the SEC or getting late into it for sure, getting to the championship game. Now, Ole Miss, this is a big week for them, Tony, because they're on the bubble as far as getting in pre-SEC tournament. So the one thing that concerns me, they're going to defend, and you're right, there's that stud score for Kentucky. But if Kentucky can extend their defense and keep Ole Miss from inside stuff, Ole Miss one of the worst shooting. They do not shoot the ball beyond the arc. They're low. They're 28%, I think. They're not good there. But I am with you. Senior night has a way. The last time a lot of these guys will ever play basketball again is at home is tonight, and then through the tournament, because many of them may not go on and play in the NBA. That's just the way it works. So saying bye to your seniors, this is important. Cal's team's just not as good. I like Ole Miss. It's colder. I mean, and I know what's the line at right now, Tony, going in? It's borderline. Yeah, I was going to say it early on. 2 points. I like Ole Miss in this, but I think it's going to come down late. And I think it's going to be a good defensive stop. I don't think Ole Miss wins it from distance. I think that Ole Miss is going to have a little bit extra. They've got a lot to play for. Cal's team's just going to have to run through SC. I'm taking Ole Miss at home in this one, and I'm with you. The overall, I think Ole Miss barely covers that. This is a couple field goals game. I like Ole Miss.
Well, it's Tuesday, so we're going to do a 2 for Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Like back in college in Lincoln, Nebraska, P.O. Pairs, 2 for Tuesdays. You used to be able to get 2 beers for $1. Well, we're going to give you 2 picks in one game for free. And you know what that is? I like the under 131.5 here for the very reasons that Sean gave you why he likes Ole Miss. Number one is Calipari knows that he can't win this game without playing great defense and slowing it down. Second of all, Mississippi can't hit a bull in the ass with a handful of rocks with their perimeter game. I think this is going to be a very slow pace, grind it out type ball game. It's going to be tight. no one's going to be up 10 points at any point in time during this game. I think it's going to be nip and tuck, wire to wire. Sean likes Ole Miss. I like the under 131 here. And the reason I like the under 131 too is 93% of the money right now is on the over. Kind of reminds me last night. Kind of reminds me last night on my free play, if you tuned in yesterday on this channel, when I took Syracuse, because 97% of the money was on North Carolina. And it's that time of year. So, folks, sometimes you want to fade the public, and this is one of them. I'll fade them on the total. Sean likes the Rebels. Hey, we'll be back up Thursday with some picks, and don't forget our look-ahead shows on Friday as well. Get over to Docs, take advantage of that free $60, get hooked up. It's March Madness, folks. Sean, thanks for stopping by today.
Great to be with you, man. 2-0, brother. Let's go. I appreciate you.
There we go, folks. Thanks a lot for tuning in.